And the mob that attacked the U.S. Capitol building Wednesday, killing a police officer, appears to have been overwhelmingly composed of supporters of President Trump. But in right-wing online circles, rumors are swirling that the destruction was caused by Antifa, far left-leaning anti-fascist militant groups who claim to resist neo-Nazis and white supremacists at demonstrations. However, there's no evidence so far that that took place Wednesday, and it highlights the falsehood and conspiracy theories that have dominated and have been perpetuated by Mr. Trump's presidency. We want to bring in our technology reporter, Dan Patterson, to talk a little bit about what we're seeing online. Dan, so I find this Antifa thing actually really interesting. Yesterday I spoke to somebody who had been at the protests, and she sort of, said that she was a supporter of President Trump and had no intention of participating in the violence. And though she didn't say she saw anyone from Antifa, she said she was told that Antifa was on the ground. And this is despite the fact that we've seen plenty of video of individuals inside the Capitol building who are clearly, supporters of the president. They have long social media histories in which they're talking about their support for the president and not about their support from Antifa. Yet this idea that Antifa was in the middle of that crowd, was instigating, was first into the Capitol building, seems to be sort of gaining traction. Where is that coming from?
Good morning, Anne-Marie. It's good to see you. So that anecdote is very telling for a number of reasons. It's challenging to say the word Antifa because even repeating that is amplifying or is very close to amplifying disinformation. Look, Antifa is a disorganized group, a small group of people who have organized to protest the president in the past. However, when we look at the data, the pure data, there really is a statistically insignificant presence when it comes to what Antifa is and how they're acting online. There just isn't a large organization. That's not being partisan, that's being data-driven. When we look at the same data, especially around the insurrection, we saw millions, literally millions of pro-Trump posts that repeated the phrase Antifa. So going back to your anecdote there, Anne-Marie, we saw a number of people who were afraid of a group that is non-existent, at least statistically non-existent. But we saw a large group of people acting very violently, saying they are afraid of this statistically insignificant group. So the reason this is, it's dangerous, or I'm a little reticent to repeat the phrase Antifa, is because every time we do, we kind of lend it credence and we kind of inadvertently give the phrase power. It's a little similar to repeating the phrase ISIS. That entire phrase was propaganda used by the group to give itself validity. The same tactic is being used by pro-Trump supporters to create a boogeyman or an enemy that just doesn't exist. And when we look at the data, this boogeyman is non-existent.
Many people have said that the president's words helped to incite the violence that we saw on Wednesday, not just at the rally right before the mob descended on the Capitol building, but just sort of all along. And the idea was, well, if he could just say something different, then the people who had gathered at the Capitol building would calm down and go away. And so they were sort of begging him to do that. He did that yesterday. We finally heard him condemn, the violence. I'm wondering, though, part of this is, happening online with the chatter and the conspiracy theories. What was the reaction amongst his supporters, amongst some of those who peddle conspiracy theories, to the video that was posted online from the president condemning the violence?
I have a Gab page open right now. Gab is a smaller social network that is populated by far-right extremists and pro-Trump supporters. And a number of the posts that are in favor of the mob repeat anti-Semitic phrases, some things that I just can't say on air. QAnon, of course, in a number of conspiracy theories. And you may have seen this phrase pop up. I'm only repeating this because I questioned what this meant when I saw it. But you may have seen 6MWE or variants on that, which stands for 6 million were not enough in reference to the Holocaust. So again, there has been a call and response between the president and his supporters online, on subnetworks like Gab, on Parler, but really, Anne-Marie, this movement has metastasized, and the violence has metastasized, not just on these smaller social networks, but on massive social networks like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
That is it's disturbing stuff. So Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg yesterday announced that the president would be suspended indefinitely from both Facebook and Instagram, owned by the same company, because of his role in the riots on Wednesday. Is the president's preferred outlet Twitter at this point, and can we expect Twitter to follow suit? Any discussions in that area?
Look, I've asked Twitter and Facebook and YouTube over and over and over, not just in the past week, but in the past months and years, how they will respond to President Trump and if and when they will ban his account. And Twitter has been, they've been no comment. So we just don't know, Anne-Marie. It's likely they follow suit. There has been a relationship between Facebook making a move or Twitter making a move, but it's radio silence.
All right, Dan, thank you so much for helping us navigate this crazy world of online conspiracies. Appreciate it.
Good to see you.
What started out as a fringe conspiracy theory in 2017 has recently spread into the mainstream. The CBSN Originals documentary Reverb, The QAnon Effect, explores just how the group has taken root and what it means for the future of this country. Watch the full story at cbsnews.com/QAnon.